Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gospel Tech Podcast. My name is Nathan Sutherland, and this podcast is dedicated to helping families love God and use tech. Today, we are addressing part 3 of our 3-part series on tech boundaries, and we're going to talk about what tech to use. The last 2 conversations were about time and were about location. So how do we use our technology? Like, when do we use it? How long, how often, and then the location piece being the where and the who. Really, like, who do we use it around and where do we use the tech physically? Today we're talking about, all right, but what tech? What technology should I bring into my home? We're coming up on Christmas, folks. And I know it feels like we're not, but really we are. Like, we're middle of October. And we're going to buy gifts in the next 6 weeks or so. And then we're going to wrap them. And then we're going to actually have Christmas in the next 10 weeks. So I know that might freak you out to say, and many of you just broke a sweat, but the reason we're having this conversation now is kids are going to ask for technology. Your elementary school child is going to ask for that new game, that new device, that thing that everybody else has, and he or she is the only one who doesn't have it. So the question is, all right, do we bring this in? Because as loving parents, we love to give good gifts. There's nothing cooler than a good Christmas morning where you get to give that gift your child really wanted and was probably hard to find. I know I have had that joy before of, it wasn't necessarily expensive. It's just a niche gift and you found it, or you found something that you knew your kid would like. They didn't even ask, but you're like, oh man, like this was, Hadley. It's a unicorn kitty that's colored rainbows. Like, Hadley's going to lose her mind about this. It's going to be awesome. Giving a good gift is an incredible thing to be able to do, and we aim for those. They're a great experience for us, for our kids, and they make Christmas so memorable and reflect the good gift that God gave us in Jesus, the best possible gift that we never even asked for. So in that, awesome. Technology can be an amazing gift to give your kid, but is it? Like, that's what we're trying to figure out today. Like, is it a good gift? Because that's what we want to know. We do not want to be giving gifts that are simply fun to give and then lead to all sorts of hurt and harm and bad things. So that's what we're addressing today. So there's 3 things we're going to talk about. The first is which tech to select, which is it safe, ready, and good? That's our, it's developed over the years. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you've probably heard the modifications of that. But safe, ready, and good is this great picture for us. And I don't know, can I say it's great if it's mine? Anyway, it has proven over time to be a really helpful way for us to think about our tech quickly and to communicate it clearly. It means that we can talk about tech without rubrics and without a ton of additional thought that has to happen. We can look at it and just kind of chew on it for a minute. Is it safe? Are they ready? Is it good? Boom, done. And we can then communicate that to our children as young as 5. I can communicate to my 5-year-old, that isn't one of these 3 things, or that's great. Please use it because it fits all that we want for our family. So that's our first piece, is it a good fit? The second piece is then our family side. All right, the tech itself isn't bad, but is the content it brings us matching what our family wants? And we're going to talk about that and maybe a little more nuance than we have before. And then third and finally is going to be looking at our reset in a way that we have not done before, or we don't do consistently, but I really think it applies great in this conversation. So your child has come to you and said, Mom or Dad, for Christmas, Mom or Dad, for next week, Mom or Dad, for my birthday, I want this device or access to this app or whatever it might be. Play this game, have this opportunity. Will you get it for me? First thing, we want to make sure it's safe, that they're ready, and that it's good. Safe means that there is a standard for technology in the way the tech itself is designed. I don't mind that you give your child technology that plugs into a wall or that has a screen or that even streams off the internet. My own children participate in versions of that. We listen to audiobooks through devices. Sometimes I use my own iPhone and I'll lock it using guided access. If you don't know how to do guided access on our YouTube channel, there's a video how-to, or you can just look up how to set up guided access. It's very simple. You can do it in like 5 steps, under 3 minutes. And what it lets you do is lock your child into a screen. You will want to make sure you look at how to block off the screen, by the way, because if you go into Audible, there's all sorts of things you don't want your child getting into in Audible, but I can block it off except for the play button. So they can hit play, they can hit pause, and you can't change the volume, you can't change the story, you can't go to a different scene, you can't follow any links out. guided access. So I'll do that because it's an awesome opportunity to engage a great story like the Jesus Storybook Bible or Paddington Bear or Mary Poppins, which if you go to listen to Mary Poppins, we're acceptable, or we've decided it's acceptable to have a certain level of snark in our stories. You may not like the way Mary Poppins treats the children. So just warning before I just tell you to go listen to older British literature. That's our family and our standard, but I'm stealing my own thunder. That's point 2. Point 1 is it safe? We want to make sure the tech we give our child is safe, and the safest technology is going to be tool tech. That means technology that helps you create, not just consume. So me giving my child a locked iPhone to listen to Audible, that is drool tech. I've just modified the drool tech to make it safe enough where I say this is reasonable to hand my 5-year-old. So Audible is drool tech. It is trying to get you to consume content that you never asked for. That's why yesterday when I opened it up, it pitched me 5 books that I never have asked for. They don't even fit genres I want. They're like vampire books. They must be thematic for the middle of Halloween or the middle of October. But like, I don't listen to those books. I don't even like Halloween. So like, all right, that's not something I want my children exposed to. Lock it in. That drool tech has become at least a modified tool tech. You're still consuming a story. You're not reading it, but it's a story that's appropriate. It's at a time that matches it. And we have done this enough that I know it doesn't harm my child in a reset, which we'll talk about as our third point. So that's our first piece. It's going to be tool tech. The second is there's going to be no web browser and no app store. Web browser means there's no free reign over the internet. You're not just getting on there typing in words you want and whatever the internet desires to send you comes your way. So no web browser and no app store means there's no apps that are built on taking your time, your focus, and your money. Most apps, the things we download onto our devices, are built for distraction. They're drool tech. They're designed to help us consume. And again, that's not always bad. Audible is designed as drool tech. Duolingo, designed as drool tech. You know, because there's levels and punishments if you don't do the right things and points to reward you for certain choices that you make, and always the constant push to get you to move to premium. Does it help you learn a language? Yes. It's a great option for a young person to engage in new language. Please use Duolingo with guided access because you can lock them into that app and they can't go anywhere else and they can't follow the ads. It's awesome. But Duolingo is designed as drool tech. We got to know that. It is going to have some hooks. It might cause some dissatisfaction. Why don't I get 5 more minutes? Why can't I do it again today? But I didn't get enough points during my 15 minutes and now I'm going to get a demerit. That's all by design. Have the conversation with your child and watch it. The safest tech is tool tech, no app store, no browser, and there's going to be accountability baked in. Guided access is a kind of accountability. So there we go. That's a nudge in the right direction. But when I say accountability, I mean there's always another set of eyes on the prize. Anonymity online is one of the internet's great lies. You can be whoever you want. You can do whatever you want and nobody gets hurt because it's not even real. This isn't you. This is just some avatar. Go enjoy yourself, right? That is one of the big lies the internet tells us, and which caused one of my former students to call incognito mode syncognito mode. And I dig it. I like that. Incognito mode, if you're not familiar, is a version that it gives you private browsing so that there's no cookies left by where you go and there's no search history created by it. You actually can still be seen, but it's just more private from your device in terms of what you look at and how it builds an algorithm around you. They definitely still track incognito mode searches, just so you know. Like there's a separate data profile but what do they look at when they go into incognito mode? So just so you know, some people do it because they think it's completely anonymous. That's a lie. Even the companies are tracking you. And we're never actually alone. God's seen all of our hearts and all of our actions, and he sees the fruit that those bear. So accountability means that other people will see it as well. And whether that means you install something like Bark, which sees searches and allows you talking points, that sees conversations, and allows you talking points. So, hey, you were mean to that person. Or what did that person mean when they said, they asked you if you keep a secret or they wanted to go to another app, right? Like that's what Bark is really good at. Whether it's that kind of accountability or if it's image-based accountability, I have Covenant Eyes on my phone, and that makes sure that all the images that come across my screen are sent to 2 other people who care about me, which is great. And I choose that and I ask them myself to do it. I love that. But whatever your accountability might look like, we just want to make sure the device has some kind of accountability. That's the safest tech. And as I already mentioned, you can absolutely veer away from that. You can choose to give drool tech. You can choose to give a web browser. But we want to make sure that the second part of this, so we know if the tech is safe enough, We now need to know if my child is ready. So this part is important because sometimes by design, it's meant to take your time, focus, and money, for example. And a really young child's going to have a hard time just physically. Their brain is not developed to the point where they can inhibit an urge to go click on something or look something up or just scroll mindlessly because it's designed to be scrolled mindlessly. Never before in human history has something been endless until the social media feed. It's the only, right? Books have endings, wars have endings, entire countries have endings, but not your feed. Your feed can just go on for infinity. Like that is unnatural. There's no break for your brain to go, oh, I had to turn the page. I should probably get back to what I was doing, right? That was the end of a chapter. I beat a level. Nope, it's endless. A young brain doesn't have the ability to just snap out of it, no matter how bad they feel while doing it or how bad the content is while on it. So know that that's an extra level of risk that we're taking with our child. The question is this child ready for that? The way we're going to know that is looking at whether they're faithful in little things. So Jesus reminds us in Luke 16:10 that one who is faithful in little will be faithful with much. So let's make sure we're being faithful in much. And actually, I did forget the verse for the previous one, Luke 10:10, Luke 11:11, which tells us, as Jesus says, that we have a good heavenly Father, and our good heavenly Father likes to give us good gifts. So we should go to him, and he says, you guys are evil. But even you as evil parents, if your child asks you for an egg, you won't give them a scorpion, right? You're not going to give your child who asks for something good and nutritious, something harmful and dangerous. So in giving our children good gifts, the reason we care about, are they safe, is because our kid goes, Mom or Dad, I want this good thing. And you go, great. I need to make sure it's not going to hurt you or other people. Okay, it's safe, but are you ready for it? And this is important because if you're faithful in little things, the little things of life, we've referenced the reset already today, but relationships and responsibilities, emotion, sleep, enjoyment, and time are a great 5-category talking point to say, hey, I love the way you're handling your relationships with your siblings and your friends and me and Mom. Like, I love you and you're doing great there. Your emotions, you're able to handle the hard emotions life. Not just you never get mad and that's good. Man, my goodness, if your child never gets mad, I'm concerned. What are they doing to stuff down that emotion? Like anger is a natural reaction, and even it's just and good sometimes. But how are you handling it? That's what I want to know. So you get mad and you handle it well. You're able to verbalize it. You can address it. You can note where it's coming from. You can process it well. And when you get out of hand, you handle feedback. That's what we're doing here. Faithful and little. So you know what? I believe you can handle that same friendship, but now in a digital space. You guys can start FaceTiming. You guys can start a WhatsApp. You guys, whatever the communication method that you're going to allow your child to do, I believe you are ready for this level of responsibility. So now it's safe and you are ready. There are absolutely times where you go, you know what, this is safe enough, but you're just not ready for it. You are not ready to have a personal device. You're not ready to have a device that connects to the internet. You are not ready to handle internet communication and relationships because you don't handle your real life ones well. You're not good at time management. You don't get your work done. You don't get your sleep in. You don't show up for family dinner. Time is part of a reset. Sleep is also part of a reset. Enjoyment. I need to see you thriving in real life before I let you go find the high octane and designed enjoyment that comes to you through most often Drool Tech, but through digital spaces, right? When trillion-dollar companies spend billions of dollars to produce mind-altering games, you should make sure you at least know how to have fun at the pace of real life before you're introduced to that level of fun, because it's a lot of fun, but it's not the best if it's the only fun you know how to have. So that's, are you ready? And then is it good? So it's safe, you're ready, I've given it to you. And now I observe as a loving parent, I don't just let you float off and go, well, c'est la vie. You'll figure it out, kiddo. They will. It doesn't always end well. They do figure it out. And sometimes they figure out how to hide it. And sometimes they figure out how to make life-altering mistakes. So we watch. And there's fruit. Galatians 5:19 through 22 gives us a beautiful picture of the bad fruit and the good fruit. The bad fruit includes, but is not limited to, dissension, striving against one another, and envy. I am jealous. Well, envy and jealousy, but I am jealous of other people. I want their life. I want their stuff. I want to look like them. I want to act like them. Not because I'm happy for them and I think they are good, but because they have a better life than me. And in fact, I can get so jealous and so envious that I dislike my life so much, I'd rather just live in theirs, and I actually dive even deeper into this avenue of the internet and just spend my time living their life. That is concerning. We need to be aware of that. We will watch that fruit. It includes fits of anger. It includes lust. It includes, oh my goodness, what else? Division and, drunkenness and all sorts of other things. So we want to, that's a nice gloss over, but that's because my brain it's not in front of me. I think it's a good enough list for us today, though, because we can watch dissension and division and envy. We can watch lust and fits of anger, and we can see the bad fruit when it doesn't look like Jesus. Then we can go to, I even feel bad. I'm going to look it up right now because I usually have it top of mind memorized, and today it's not there. Here we go, people. 5:19-21, sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, dissension, division. That was the section that they all sounded the same. And I was like, wait, what? Envy, drunkenness, wild partying, and things like these. So Galatians 5:19-21 gives us a beautiful list, but then there's more. There's good fruit too. So when you watch your child use this tech that's safe and you said they were ready for, if it's bad fruit, you say, hey, you know what? Something's wrong. I love you, and that fruit's bad. What's going on? Is it possible something outside of tech is causing this? Yes, but if it's in tandem, like they play that game and this fruit shows up, they're just raging. You can hear the screams. Not like funny screams, I'm laughing with my friends like, oh no, I can't believe that happened, but like actual rage. I had a young man I taught, and I met his neighbor at one point through a random series of events. And he's like, oh, you know this young man? Is he okay? And I'm like, well, why do you say that? And like, we hear him play his video games. His window is shut. We live across the cul-de-sac and we can hear his raging screams, right? That's what I'm talking about. And I already knew this about the young man. So that was not new information to me. And the point was, no, he wasn't okay. And the games are making it worse. He needed some support in that. And I said what I could share with the neighbors to say, hey, that'd be a great opportunity for you to love that young man, right? Like, please seek that young man out and ask him about his day and talk to him about life and share Jesus when you can. That is what we're talking about with our kiddos. If there is this bad fruit coming up and it's in tandem, it shows up when connected with that game or this platform or that social media, that's our talking point, and you can lovingly remove it. Jesus says in Matthew 5:28-30, that if our right hand causes us to sin, we cut it off. And if our right eye causes us sin, we gouge it out, because it's better to go to the kingdom of heaven missing a part of our body than to go whole into the fires of hell. And his point is very simple. If it causes sin, sin 100% of the time brings death. And we don't want things to die, and we don't want our children to die. So we're not playing games with this. We're not being cute. We're not going, fits of rage, it's just something that happens to all of us. Like, yeah, okay, it does. And we repent. And so we remove unhealthy tech. We've had to do this before. Ann and I, with our kiddos, we've given something that we'd vetted. We'd done our best. And then we got it. And we're like, oh, interesting. It hits different for this one. Like, okay, but only one of the three. So do we just let one of the three suffer? Or do we try to put parameters where we go, well, the other two can openly use it, but you're just going to have to find a new form of fun? You might, maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's a way to make that work. Not in our situation. In our situation, we said, you know what? One of the three of you cannot handle this thing. It's not moderation. It's not a character flaw that we just need to fix. This is something going on inside your brain and heart, and we're just going to remove the problem because we love you. And our life, it is better to live a little bit bored with a healthy mind and heart, with open relationships, than try to police you to the point where you feel like a criminal that you've done something wrong, whereas it's actually the introduction of this tech that made things go wrong, because I can remove the tech and you go back to normal. So yeah, you're a sinner in need of a savior, but this isn't a salvation issue. This is a heart and mind issue of producing bad fruit, and that thing causes bad fruit. So the thing goes away. It just became expendable because I love you. I don't hate you. I'm not going to give you a scorpion when I know it's going to hurt you. That's the safe tech. Are you ready for it? And then what's the fruit? The fruit is I've already given it and now I'm going to watch it. So January 1, it's been a week since Christmas. Let's maybe keep an eye on how that tech is impacting our children. And maybe some healthy boundaries need to be set up and more conversation. Or maybe the tech is just too much and you need to lovingly intervene. It's perfectly fine to do that. There's no human right to all the technology we want, and certainly no human right to self-destruct using technology that was a gift from a caring adult. So caring adult, you can still be carried and change it up. At least 30 days, by the way. If you're like, but for how long? Is this forever? No, maybe not. Give them 30 days. That's Anna Lembke, professor of psychiatry at Stanford University, wrote the book Dopamine Nation. 30 days is how long it takes for an overstimulated brain to recalibrate. So maybe the experience was just a bit much. Your child's not quite ready. Full removal for 30 days, and then you can start to slow roll it back in. But if it shows up again, and that unhealthy behaviors and the bad fruit, you absolutely remove it and you replace it with something awesome. We'll get more on that in a minute, because the second thing we're talking about in tech is, does it line up with our family standards? So family standards, I use Philippians 4:8 as a beautiful spot to start if you don't know where to start. And it says this: finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is anything excellent, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So we can use that and directly apply it to the tech, the shows, the music, the games, whatever we're using. Go, hey, is it true, noble, just, and pure? Great. If it is, fantastic. Let's keep using it. If it's not, let's have a conversation, because maybe there's a reason we're engaging it. There's some songs that are just difficult songs, but they're good. But the content isn't like fluffy. It's not always light and happy, right? It's heavy, but it takes us to a positive spot and it produces good fruit. It brings conversations we need to have. It exposes sin. It brings repentance, whatever it might be, or it just might build empathy for a hard situation, like reading a story that has rough content in it, right? It's not fun, but it's probably important. So maybe that's the case. But sometimes there's content like, yeah, but it's just fun and it won all the awards and all my friends watch it, listen to it, play it, engage it. All right. But that's not our standard. We have a family standard. We're going to make sure that the tech, which we know is safe enough and we know you're ready for, and we've seen produce good fruit, we're going to make sure that content actually is good in and of itself. It's something we should be setting our minds on. There is an act in believing what the Lord has said, that belief actually is a verb. It's something we do. And so we can, in faith, engage good technology, and we can also, in faith, walk away. And by that, I mean, let me use some really specific examples. So my life, my smartphone, in faith, because I love Jesus, not because I'm hoping he will love me in response to my action, but because I know I'm a new creation and that I've been set free from sins that I chose willingly, starting in junior high and then into my adult years. I have given up a lot of my freedoms on my smartphone. So I'm using it to record this, which is great. I use it to find my way around when I travel to talks. I use it to communicate about work and I'm with family, but it's pretty dumb. I deleted all social media off it, including YouTube, because I don't need distractions. If I need social media, I can look at it on my work computer when I'm doing work, but I don't just need it like in the car or when I'm waiting someplace. I've put parental controls on my own phone. I set it up using screen time, parental controls, ask someone else to set the password. I don't even have an app store. Great. And the browser that I do have, I've installed Covenant Eyes on, as I mentioned before. I like making good decisions, and 2 other people help me do that. So that even if I'm like, you know what, maybe today's the day I just want to be a doofus. You can do that, but 2 other people are in the room. And I don't know if you've noticed, but some of our worst decisions happen when we're with people who either agree with our bad decisions, they're also fools, and like, this is a great choice, or when we're completely alone. And if there was just one wise person, if grandma was in the room, we wouldn't have made that choice. So that's what I'm doing out of faith. It's not because, man, I need to be right so that God will love me. It's, man, I'm already right. And I love living with the fullness of joy Christ gave me. He said, I came that they may have life and they may have it to the fullest, overflowing life. That's what I want. I want life overflowing. And I know I have it when my heart is right, when my mind is right, and when I can focus. So my phone reflects that. Now, did I give up some of my freedoms that all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial? Yeah, I did. It's not beneficial. So therefore, I'm choosing to opt out. That's one way. Another way in my life that many of you know is that I don't play video games anymore because I was really unhealthy with my games and I was getting through life to get back to games. I did not love God and use tech. I used God saying, dear Lord, answer all my prayers and make my goals happen. And oh, by the way, when I feel bad, when I feel sad, when I have a fight, when I'm stressed, when I'm happy, when I want to celebrate, I'm not going to turn to you. I'm going to go to games because games always respond the way I want them to, and they're always there for me. I can just click them on, do what I want, and click them off when I'm ready, and it happens on my terms. And oh, by the way, apparently I'm my own God because I'm going to use video games to get what I want out of life. That was not great for me, and it showed up in bad fruit that I was doing a pretty good job of hiding, but was starting to percolate to the surface. And the Lord very graciously took games about a year before the worst crisis of my life was going to hit. And I was not emotionally or what would you say, personally, interpersonally ready for the crisis to occur with gaming in my life. I needed a good solid year running start to start to build some maturity. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about using tech faithfully. When we're lining up with family standards, you can say no in faith, not in fear. You don't just have to go, oh, no, like what happens if you watch that show? It's going to make you bad. No, like you're already bad. Like you're already a sinner. And if you're already a follower of Christ, you're already good in terms of righteousness. But there's fruit problems. And some of that technology bears bad fruit that doesn't make us look like Jesus. And we skip it, not because Jesus is going, what a disappointment. Because Jesus goes, that's not fullness of life. What are you doing? Like you're giving up the joy that is set before you, is what Jonah says, right? And he says, those who don't pursue the Lord forsake the joy that could be theirs, the grace that could be theirs. That there is freedom in knowing Jesus. And when we run to sin, we forsake it. We give it up. So we watch our tech use, make sure it lines up with our family standard. You don't have to use Philippians 4:8, but it's an example that's pretty clear and easy to talk through with a kid. And then we add tech that brings in good stuff. Like I'm using a smartphone, that's added tech, but I'm removing functions in faith, not in fear. I'm not scared my phone is going to somehow wreck me. I know I'm a doofus and that I like making good choices, so my phone reflects that. We can do that as well. And then third and finally, we're going to improve our reset. And this is I don't often use it in this way, and this conversation makes perfect sense. There was relationships and responsibilities, emotion, sleep, enjoyment, and time. Use all the tech that improves these. What tech should you get your kid for Christmas or for their birthday? What tech should you bring into your home, or what tech should you remove? Well, we talked about the bad fruit already, but there's good fruit, and it improves the 5 areas of a reset. So for our family, there's some specifics. I'll go, when I was working with youth, I managed to work with youth through Young Life while not being a gamer and not able to play games. I guess gamer at heart, but not actively playing games. While not engaging in socially relevant content, and yet was still able to host events that involved that. So I want to be very clear on this. I did not play the games, but I definitely helped put on Mario Kart tournaments. And that was an area where we had a clear gospel message at the end. They were generally like a 3-hour kind of Young Life spectacular. We did them each half of the year. We did a Mario Kart the first half and a Super Smash Brothers the second half. But we had, 6 screens running and lots of systems and a March Madness style bracket. And like kids would sign up and then they would play and there was things for them to engage. And it was a fun, singular event to enjoy time socially together. It was a Mario Kart tournament and it improved relationships. It improved our ability to communicate, to know kids by name, to have had a fun event. Because when you're an English teacher in middle school, sometimes there's kids you just don't have anything positive to say, right? Like, no, you haven't turned in your work. And no, you're not up to level. And no, you're not doing great. And oh, by the way, your attitude stinks. So like, I'm not going to lie to you. So I don't have a lot of good things to say to you other than the fact that I'm not quitting on you. Like I clearly care more than you do. And I'm going to keep doing that. Then there's the video game tournament. And you can come up and be like, hey, I loved watching the way you were having fun with friends. I loved having you at that event. Like I get to say something positive. Do it. That's great. I'm not saying never play a video game. I'm saying make sure you use tech that's safe and that's a good fit for those kids and that bears good fruit. So improves your reset. Or in our family, a simple example would just be movie night. We do a family movie night and each kid gets to pick and Hadley gets to pick and then Henry and then Owen and then mom and then me. And then we rinse and repeat. And like, that's lovely. And we have a good time and it stays in its place and we watch the movie and then we walk away. Awesome. So you can use tech to improve your relationships and your responsibilities. You can use it to improve your emotions. And this is careful. I want to be careful on improving emotions because you're like, well, my kid's mad. So I give him technology and he's not mad anymore. It improved. No, it did not. Your kid did not grow at all in that experience. Your kid is coping with technology when doing that. When I say improve, I mean it's a thing that exists in real life and now it gets better in real life because your child engaged this technology. So FaceTime would be an example. Using FaceTime to connect with real world friends to build real world bonds that don't only exist in this digital space, but actually can come back and grow your child as a person. Thumbs up. Please do that. That's great. Love that idea. So FaceTime would be an example. Listening to great stories. So the Jesus Storybook Bible, you can use that and come away with more knowledge and understanding. Or listen to, I'm going to forget what his name is. the Bible every day guy. All right. But anyway, someone who reads the Bible every day and walks you through like talking points. The pour over for kids is one that Anna actually just showed me recently, coming from one of my sisters, Nicole or Kelsey. Thank you. I don't remember which one, but it's great. And for kids, it's a little 5-minute. Here's what's happening in the world without just catastrophizing everything, without taking a specific political side that's like, and that's why this team is always right, but does a really nice job of being like, hey, like, God cares about these situations and he loves you and you are his hands and feet. You're ambassadors for Christ. So go into the world and be in it, not of it. And that's beautiful. So you can use it to improve your emotions and your ability to handle hard ideas and process. Like, that's great. But I don't just mean improve like I gave you Tylenol in your pains away. I gave you a smartphone and now you act better. I'm specifically talking about the hard work of improving emotionally. Then sleep. For sleep, this could look like a lot of things. Maybe you need an audiobook to fall asleep. Maybe you need whale sounds. I don't know. But it's possible to improve sleep with, maybe you need an app that tells you how to breathe. Like, okay, that can happen and it can actually improve your sleep. But by and large, many of us are going to find detraction. So we remove the phone and it's addition by subtraction. Our sleep gets better. Enjoyment. For my kiddos, their enjoyment in real life can improve by engaging certain technology. I've shared this before, but the example that is most prevalent currently is watching something like the Wild Kratts, where they learn about nature and then they become passionate about nature. And so like, yes, we watched a 20-minute show on nature, but the result isn't, hey, I want to watch more show. The result is, can I get a book on that? Can I go outside and look for those? Can I get a bug hotel, which is just stacking sticks and leaves underneath your trampoline, apparently, which then the finches come and eat the bugs and leaves and move in and have babies. And now we have birds living like living under our trampoline. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. Why? Because we watched a show and it extended our enjoyment. It didn't condense it or eclipse it and become the only thing we enjoy. So does it improve your enjoyment? It can. Finally, your time. I mean, I'm just going to be gentle on this because the goal is not, so have more structure. The goal is be intentional. If your technology helps you be intentional, not mindless, thoughtless, reactive, but driving forward. So I turned off notifications. My phone is always on silent. So I don't know when you texted me. I'll check it when it's appropriate to check it. And if I don't check it, it's not because or if I do check it at the wrong time, it's not because the phone made me. It's because something's going on in my heart and I feel anxious and I'm just checking my phone all the time. Like that one time I only had 40 minutes of phone use for the day, but I checked my phone 120 times. That means I'm in a bad spot, right? That's a time for me to get down before the Lord in prayer and go, Lord, what is happening, right? Like I checked it compulsively that day. And after prayer, realized, oh yeah, like I'm super anxious and worried about what is happening, what might happen. So take that to the Lord, not to my smartphone. And that is our conversation about how do we choose the right tech for our family and for our home. We make sure that it's safe, that our kids are ready, and that the fruit is good. We ensure that it fits a family standard of Philippians 4:8, and that we choose it out of faith, not out of fear. And then finally, that it improves our reset. It's a beautiful way to talk to our kids about what they're doing right and celebrate them. Say, honey, son, I love you, and you're doing a great job in this area with this tech. And it provides this chance to go, you know what? We're not seeing enough good fruit from that. We're going to go a different direction. It's reasonable to do that. It's perfectly loving. And it's a chance to disciple your child, to raise them up in the way they should go and point them not just away from bad stuff, but towards the best stuff that they might have life to its fullest in Christ. If this conversation is helpful for you, would you share it with someone else who could also apply this to their lives and see the hope of the gospel come into their own daily tech lives? Would you visit us on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube at Love God Use Tech? And if you have any questions, you can write me, Nathan@gospeltech.net. You can also go to gospeltech.net if you want me to come run a workshop at your church, at your school, at your organization. We have the Flint and Iron side, where I speak in public organizations, which is all the truth, just not with cited Bible verses. And then would you join us next week as we continue this conversation about how we can love God and use tech?